What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to DSM pregame live streaming to you here exclusively on DSM Media's YouTube channel. Guys, first and foremost, if you are new to the channel, make sure to check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. While you're over on the Twitter channel, make sure to check out the link tree in our bio. It will take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive like my man Brett is right here, if you guys want to catch any of the DSM pregame lives that stream exclusively on this channel, make sure to check out the YouTube link specifically in our link tree. And it's the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up on the screen here and be interactive with your host. I am one half of those today, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. To my right, my faithful co-host here, Scotty. You can find him as well at Scotty Drown. This could potentially be the last chance to get involved in our giveaway. God, that feels good to say. But guys, subscribe to the channel. Drop your score prediction in the comments here live with us tonight for a chance to be entered for a jersey of your choosing off of Fanatics.
Take a deep breath.
Scotty, everybody, the biggest Sixers game in over 2 decades is an hour and a half away, and that just means that this is the biggest DSM pregame live Sixers edition we have ever done, my man. We have had a Phillies World Series pregame live edition. We have had a Eagles Super Bowl pregame live edition, all within the same calendar year. But this one, man, feels a little different. We're not to the pinnacle yet. We are not. This is not an NBA Finals pregame show. But this is that hump that the Sixers have been looking to so desperately get past, and to do so against their greatest rival in the history of the sport on their home floor tonight.
On the home floor.
I have to pace myself. I have not been calm since Game 5 ended. I am a nervous wreck, to be honest with you, man. Cheers, Abe. I see you, my man. What is going on? How are you feeling, Scotty?
Nervous, man, if I'm being completely honest. And it's not that I don't believe in this Sixers team. They've done everything.
Oh, it's quite the opposite, right?
They've done everything that they could to earn my belief and my trust throughout these playoffs so far. So it's not the Sixers. It's strictly me. It's strictly, I think, the Sixers community of fans. It's the stress of the process and everything, right? We talked about revelations the other day, right? And how we were watching Game 5, and it felt like revelations of, the Sixers and the way they're playing basketball, and it all just coming together. James Harden being traded for Ben Simmons, finally coming to fruition. Maxey, the golden child, saved by, oh my God, the dude, Mike Muscala. Yeah, I couldn't even remember his name. That's how nervous I am.
He's 3 in the bubble, yep.
Everything coming to fruition here. Tobias Harris has a double-double. He got $39 million from us a couple years ago, right? Like, everything coming to a point. And this point is here tonight. This is what it was building up to. We have to go out here and take it tonight, man. And I think that's the most nerve-wracking part for me, is that we can clear out some demons tonight.
Yeah.
And that's never
exercise your demons tonight, man.
Never an easy task.
Listen, there's a ton, and I mean a ton to get into. It's why we tried to start a few minutes early tonight, and who the hell knows if we run a few minutes late past what we want to get into. But there's so many narratives to look into, right? You have Joel getting past the second round. You have James Harden and his playoff career woes and letdowns. You have Doc Rivers up 3-1, up 3-2, all those different playoff series that he's dropped. You have all these storylines, and you mentioned how you're a nervous wreck, and it's not that the Sixers aren't. I think it's the opposite. I think it's that you are confident in the Sixers, and this is new, unexplored territory for us Sixers fans. And I thought it was very interesting there. You hit on everybody that's contributing right now. The James Harden trade, Tobias' max deal over Jimmy Butler, right? The Tyrese Maxey draft pick. And it's kind of this pinnacle, this mountaintop that we've reached right now, right? However, you could also argue that this is the pinnacle of the process. That this is what the process and Joel Embiid was brought here for. And we've never been in this moment. We've felt close. Trust me, we felt close a couple times. But even that Jimmy year, that Jimmy Butler year, and the Tobias Harris trade year at the deadline, was kind of compared to the Sixers team all season long, right? And how are they different than that year? Because that was the quote unquote best team of the Joel Embiid era up until this point. And even then, Game 7, Kawhi shot, Joel crying in the tunnel. We know all of it. We were down 3-2 at the Wells Fargo Center for Game 6.
Yeah.
This is so much different, man. It's uncharted territory. I can't find myself to calm down and relax and enjoy this moment. I'm really, truly trying to. I don't know how you feel. It's not like it's fun, but it's not even that enjoyable.
I'm not super enjoyable. It's very stressful and very like mind consuming. And once you get to this stage, my thing, man, about everything you said there, I think the other side of that as well is like you had in the Jimmy Butler season the Kawhi shot, right? Where he just travels, he gets away with the travel, it rolls around the rim, things just aren't going your way. It hasn't been like that, though. No. It feels like things have rolled our way. Marcus Smart not getting the shot off in time, right? Him getting the shot off in time and breaking it. Like, these are the kind of things that have went the Sixers' way, which could have completely derailed the season by now. Embiid's injury, like, knock on wood, man. Embiid's injury, things just have gone our way. We've seen Embiid be able to come back from that injury and be effective in this series, which was something that he really wasn't able to do last year against Miami, right? We had the Ben Simmons debacle against the Atlanta Hawks. Like, everything is rolling our way. We got to keep going tonight. And that's why it's so nerve-wracking, because we still got work to do. Even after tonight, even if you get it done tonight, the job is not finished. But
but this
is that pinnacle,
man. It's the biggest moment, man. It is the biggest moment. It's the biggest game in this franchise's history in over 2 decades. This is the biggest game of my lifetime. Yes, I get it. I was technically around during the 0-1 run. I was barely 3 years old. Could not tell you a single thing that happened during that run. So this is it. This is the mountaintop for my lifetime so far. Adam dropping in. Who has more pressure tonight, Boston or the 76ers?
Great question.
Look, there's pressure on both sides, and there's clearly pressure on the Sixers to get things done tonight in 6 and not force a Game 7. But don't let media, don't let Boston fans, don't let the Celtics themselves try to fool you and get it twisted. The pressure is on the Boston Celtics. This is a true do or die moment. They were the favorites to come out of the East heading into the postseason. And after going up 2-1 in Game 3 in South Philly, the Boston Celtics were far and away the front runners to win the title. And now they've kind of melted down the last 2 games. And the Sixers technically have home court with a win tonight, sealing the deal. So there's plenty of pressure for the Sixers to get it done tonight, because they, us, you, me, we don't want to go back to Boston for Game 7.
Yeah, no way.
But Boston has to go back for Game 7.
No other option.
That's the difference in terms of pressure tonight.
Yeah, I love what PJ Tucker put out in the air today. PJ Tucker, our playoff leader, right?
Yep.
Put it out there. He said PJ Tucker on the Sixers' comfort level tonight. And that kind of speaks to Adam's question, right? No, who's under the most pressure? The lack of comfort. That would be the opposite, right? PJ Tucker says none. There's no comfort in the playoffs all the way. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a dogfight. They're going to give us everything they got, and we got to be locked in for it. That lets you know where the Sixers' head is right now. They know this is not going to be some roll over and die situation for the Boston Celtics. And they know what's on the line here tonight. They know why PJ Tucker was brought in onto this roster, right? The reason Joel Embiid requested PJ Tucker, like, this is why, to bring that mindset into this game. Getting goosebumps talking, man. I can't even, like, relax. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. My arm hairs are going up just talking about the game. It's ridiculous right now. But imagine how that arena feels right now, right? Whether you're on Boston's locker room.
Did you see the red rally towels, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
See that? A little different, because normally we're blued out, right? We're blue T-shirts.
I got the red lights on today. This is major, man.
Red rally towels, man.
Yeah. Let's go. This is major today. But
I know.
This
comment by Abe, just getting into the 10-minute mark here, can kind of gear us into what it's going to take for the Sixers to actually win tonight. And he says the first quarter will tell you if we are winning this game or not tonight. And I think it's a very interesting point. I think it's a good point, because it's going to tell you what kind of fight this is going to be. However, I would say this. Obviously, in any playoff situation, especially a closeout situation on your home floor, you would hope and love for the 76ers to come out and punch first and get off early on Boston. However, you have to know that this is actually the desperation moment Malcolm Brogdon was talking about, and Boston is going to throw their hardest punch at you in the first 3 minutes of this first quarter, the first 5 minutes of this quarter. So if the Sixers go down 5, 6, 7 points early in the first quarter, breathe. Don't panic. You have your home crowd behind you. Weather the storm, because this is all Boston can throw at you right now. They're going to throw. We're going to get into their lineup change. Joe Mazzulla is already trying something different for tonight because he's trying to fit the pieces to this puzzle together right now. But I agree, Abe. It's definitely. I would say this: don't let the scoreboard reflect if the Sixers are going to win this game or not. Pay attention to the energy and the hustle and the little things in the first quarter tonight, because if the Sixers are just down 4 at the end of the first quarter, that does not mean that this game is going to go south. Pay attention to if Boston wants it more. Pay attention to the calls. Pay attention to the transition defense. That will tell you more about this game tonight in the first quarter.
I'd look at it like this. The Sixers can't come out here and win the game in the first quarter, but they certainly can come out and lose the game in the first quarter. And that's what you don't want to happen. And I think that speaks to Abe's comment right there. This is what it's all about, man. I think actually just digging into what I got written down here, because it's kind of on beat with what Abe was saying here. I know what he means. Body language. If is Joel locked in? Is he hit it? Does he hit his first 2 to 3 jumpers? One thing I'll say tonight, man, and let me just get into my keys to victory. It's hard to talk around them when they're right here in front of my face. But to Abe's point, strong start tonight. That is the biggest thing for me, a strong start, because while I say it's going to be important to see Embiid, does he knock down his first 2 or 3 jumpers? Does Harden get into the mid-range, knock down his first 2 or 3 jumpers? Does he get to the rack, get some layups and finish? Does Tobias drive downhill early? Does he get assertive on the boards? Tyrese Maxey, does he look confident early? This is all a key here, because there's been a lot of talk about Tatum's slow starts, right, in the last couple games. Guarantee you he's going to come out this game shooting. He's going to come out confident, and he's going to come out trying to make a mark early in this game.
Absolutely.
And we're going to need somebody or everybody to come out and match that. And I think that's why it's so important. Also, we just talked about the crowd, the environment that's at Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah.
Crowd roaring early. Get them in.
But that is on us as fans as well. Whoever's going to be down there tonight, to not let a sluggish start or a Boston onslaught from 3 early get you out of this game and quiet you down. I gotta touch real quick before we continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Michael, my man, I appreciate the comment. If you're subscribed or not, I don't know. If you're a Sixers fan, Celtics fan, let us know in the comments. But no, he didn't. You're referencing the 2 blocks at the end of the game in regulation. You don't get bonus points. You don't get credit for playing tough defense because Joel Embiid couldn't breathe. Like the dude was completely and utterly winded. If you go back and watch the block, Scotty, Joel doesn't leave the floor. He doesn't jump. He doesn't jump. He's so tired. When PJ's going to the free throw line and has to come over and talk in his ear, he's hunched over with both hands on his knees, trying to gasp for air while he's getting a lecture in his ear. Al Horford made 2 good plays. I'm not taking credit away from the blocks, whatever. Al Horford has played no good defense against Joel Embiid the rest of that game, the rest of this series. And if Joel Embiid is not gassed at that point, Al Horford's not blocking those 2 shots.
And to your point, okay, like they lost that game.
Right, exactly. So he played that good defense in game 4, and it wasn't enough. By the way, shout out to Al Horford for that shimmy in game 4 as well, because from that point on, changed the entire series for Boston.
Definitely did.
And exactly, Brad, I agree. Listen, I know I sound like, a whiny Philly fan because I'm trying to give Embiid a pass and I'm not giving any credit to the defender. He blocked the shot. It's good job, Al. Joel didn't jump on the jump shot, Scotty. He was gassed.
I think it's goofy to talk about lockdown or like tough defense, like when you're not throwing Al Horford on him until the 4th quarter. Right. Like let him guard him the whole game and let's see how tough the defense is, right? He had 34 points in that game, 34 and 13. Like, throw him on him the whole game. Maybe that would have made a difference if he played tough defense on him for an entire 4 quarters. It was in the fourth quarter and overtime. You throw him on him when he's tired. Like, that's the stuff where I'm not hearing the Horford.
No. But Michael, drop your score prediction for tonight's game and let us know what you think about Game 6.
No offense, Michael.
Yeah, bro.
No offense.
No. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I just didn't think it was good defense. I just thought Joel was gassing. That was obvious. Shout out to Kate's memo about the moment. 100%. Scotty had a great quote tweet about it. I wanted to throw this back at you about your first key before you get into the second one. Brett saying if Tatum does that, they might lose out on Jaylen Brown, who has been more consistent offensively, defensively. Jaylen Brown has started hot when Tatum has started slow, but then you have seen Jaylen Brown get phased out of the game plan offensively for Boston as the games and series have gone on. Tatum continues to shoot. Obviously, Game 5, he was really bad from the floor. The first half of Game 4 as well. What do you think about that? Now, obviously, we've heard about the 46-point night in Game 6, down 3-2 against Milwaukee last year, and that's been talked about on ESPN 100 times over the last 2 days. But what do you think about the fact that, like, kind of as you're a Sixers fan or a Sixers defender, continue to allow the poor shooting Jason Tatum at the moment to try to get going, if that means Jaylen Brown is not as involved early in this game?
It's an interesting concept because, it's interesting. I was watching, it was either Get Up or First Take earlier this morning, and it was Brian Windhorst was on, and they were asking him the same exact question, like, do you expect Jason Tatum to come out and have a similar performance to that 46-point performance against Milwaukee last year? And Brian Windhorst, he said it the same way he phrased it the same way you just did. I don't know if that's going to be the best for the Boston Celtics to win a game against the Philadelphia 76ers.
Scotty had 36 last game.
This is the thing, though. When you look at these two guys, who is the bigger mismatch, or who has the better matchup is a better question. Who has the better matchup? It's Jaylen Brown, right? He's more athletic. He's more physical. He drives in the lane harder. He finishes better. Yeah, I think if Jason Tatum, he could.
I think the eye test and the shooting numbers early in these games will show you that Jaylen Brown has been more effective against the Sixers defense. For whatever reason, Joe Mazzulla, Jaylen Brown himself, the rest of the offense, like, at the end of the day, if you're that guy, if you're superstar level, if you're right there with Jason Tatum, you have to demand the ball. Like, it's not coach's fault play after play that you're not getting a look. But I mean, Jesus, dude, he took like 3 shots in the fourth quarter and overtime of Game 4. Like, that's like, thank you as a Sixers fan. Thank you. But
like, every time Al Horford takes a shot over Jaylen Brown, like, bet, like, all right, bet.
Blessed.
They do that very often.
Man. So, I thought your first point was spot on there. It was just kind of interesting to see which star you would rather let try to get off, rather than the other one early on in this ball game. But what do you got? Scotty's a little frozen. There we go. What do you got for what do you got for key number 2?
Key number 2, man, stars. We just kind of talked about it there, but the Sixers stars, I think, it was laid out earlier, and I think you texted it to me, but the other guys got us Game 5, right? Tyrese Maxey stepped up. We talked about Tobias Harris with the double-double earlier. It's the stars in this game, right? Jason Tatum's going to come out aggressive. I'm sure Jaylen Brown will come out aggressive. I'm sure the Celtics as a whole will come out aggressive, but this game is going to come down to the stars, and it's going to come down to Joel Embiid and James Harden being on their best behavior tonight and bringing their best ball to the court tonight. And I think at the very least, they have to match Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They've outperformed them in this series in reality. If you can do that, you're definitely winning. But if you can match them at the very least, let this come down to the rest of the guys, we will see what happens. Because I think we do, while I say it comes down to the stars, I do think there's opportunity for Maxey to have gotten over that hump and play really well tonight as well. Tobias Harris, same thing, gotten over the hump, play tonight really well as well. But I think it's going to come down to the stars, James Harden, Joel Embiid, starting us off, getting us going, and making sure we stay afloat, whether that's during a Boston run, whether that's during a scoring drought, right? Whether that's a big moment in the game. These guys are going to have to pioneer and lead us there. But that doesn't mean that the other guys won't be needed. I don't want to phrase it that way. I just think the stars are going to be really important tonight.
100%. When you're trying to close any team out, let alone a team that has, championship aspirations and are as great as the Boston Celtics are, it's going to take a full team performance. Like, if I'm being 100% honest with you, maybe Boston has already given up on Joe Mazzulla. Maybe Brown and Tatum, there's more there to that story. Whatever the case is, maybe they roll over and die. I don't foresee that happening. So I don't see a world in which this is 42-point James Harden and 30-point Joel Embiid, and everybody else shoots a combined 4 for 27, and the Sixers will lose that game. I liked Abe's comment here. I need Embiid to be dominant, Harden to be efficient, and Maxey to be aggressive. Perfect across the board. Perfect description for each of those 3 players tonight. Brett, I need it to be like game 3 versus the Nets. Take their best shot, smother them, and keep Embiid healthy. I do think that Daniel House gets the second look off the bench. I think DeAnthony Melton stays as that 6-man, obviously different positions, different substitutions. Paul Reed will get his little bit of run behind Joel. I wouldn't expect crazy run from him again either. Less than 10 minutes, most likely, depending how the game's going. But then I do think it's going to be interesting to see if Doc rolls the dice with George Niang again, or if he is confident in what Daniel House was able to provide. And kind of as a spark plug for them right there. But to go off of your stars point, not to keep rambling on.
No, you're fine.
I think I did tweet it out. I think it's incredibly important to pay attention to tonight. And when we get into stars of the game at the end of the show as well, you'll kind of see where I'm going with this. But game 5 was more so about the others than any other game in this series. We talked about how the Sixers had survived the first 4 games. Essentially, they were, I was grateful for them to be 2-2 with really not getting contributions from anybody else. In this moment is when you need your stars to be your stars. Like you said, it's going to take a full team performance here. It comes down to Joel Embiid and James Harden, and more so Joel Embiid than even James Harden tonight for me.
Who's going to shine brighter?
Yeah, and
that's
KC,
the question, man.
I need Toby to be efficient, timely baskets. It's another thing as well. Like, I think that's the thing, Scotty, when it comes to the others, and Abe kind of not mentioned it with Harden, who's not really an other, but efficiency from the others, right? Because you kind of mentioned how when Al Horford takes a shot and misses a 3, it's, well, if that it wasn't a Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum jump shot, right? It's kind of the same thing for us.
Yeah.
Like when George Niang misses 2 threes, when Tobias Harris is shooting 3 for 11, that's 8 misses where it could have been one of the stars having a chance at a possession. Basketball doesn't work that way. The shots don't go that way. I'm just pointing out you need those others to be efficient tonight.
You're spot on.
Mark, dude, biggest game of our lifetime. Again, I know I had explained to a couple people. I was around during 01. I was hardly 3, so I couldn't tell you too much about that AI performance and run. So this is the biggest night of my lifetime for this Sixers team.
Yeah, honestly, that time for me, I'm a little bit older than Dylan. So, I mean, for me, it was like...
Still young, though, bro. I was
still young. I was by no means a diehard basketball fan at that age, where it meant, like, the world to me. Like, it wasn't like that. I was just coming in to, like, understanding what basketball was as a sport. So, yeah, I'm with you guys as well, even though I am a little bit older. I am old enough to remember when they went to the finals, but... did it mean as much to me at that young of an age? Like, no, I didn't go through the turmoil that I've gone through the last 20 years. So
not at all.
And it didn't mean that much. But
to Mark's point, the Lakers were minus 2,000 to win that title that year against the 76ers. As compared to right now, where I know when we won game 5, the Sixers had jumped to plus 290. They were the favorites. Then Denver had won game 5 against Phoenix, and we were tied, or Denver leapt just above us, according to
Lakers are up there too.
But either way, man, the Lakers, I believe now it's Denver and the Lakers are tied, and we're slightly below them. Still the favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference, but
it's the biggest game of our lives. It's the biggest game of Joel's life. It's the biggest game of James Harden's life. It's the biggest game of this Sixers organization, right? In recent history, at least. But it's specifically the guys on this team. It's the biggest game of their careers, aside from maybe PJ Tucker, right? Like he's won a championship. But looking at this, it doesn't change anything, though, right? Like you still played this down to the fundamental. It still comes down to the
Absolutely.
fundamentals, the basics tonight.
And
it's going to come down to the rebound battle. It's going to come down to the free throw line battle. It's going to come down to turnovers and fast break opportunities and transition defense, points in the paint. It comes down to all of that. So while the game is the biggest moment, it's this big stage, right?
nothing changes.
Nothing really changes.
No, not within the game. And I want to go back to Devin's point and to Casey's point right here. If Embiid is knocking down his mid-range jumpers tonight, man, especially off the pick and roll from Harden, the Sixers could take over. And Casey says it here, pick and roll him to death. I believe they got Maxey involved with the pick and roll in game 5. I think they ran it 52 times in game 5. They cannot defend it. And we're going to get into Boston's lineup change, and maybe that changes how you attack that pick and roll and attack the painted area when it comes to the Celtics tonight. But it's where I would go. So Scotty, I'm assuming you have a third key. I don't want
No, that was it, man.
Oh, okay. All right.
Look. Third key was literally fundamentals, but play this like it is game 7. Same way you play game 5. You need to come out and play like it's the last game of the season. This is all you have left, right? That's how they have to come out and play.
Game 7, bro.
That includes hammering the boards. That includes focus on defense, hustle, focus, home court advantage. Use it to your advantage, man. It comes down to all the basic foundations of basketball when you're on this big stage even. And that's where the Sixers have been excelling, man. The pick and roll, that's the fundamental play of basketball. Like, that is basketball. Like, point guard, center, pick and roll, and they kill people in it. That's what they have to do tonight.
Especially when you have this point guard in the center.
Point guard in this center. Yeah.
It's never been the pick and roll wasn't drawn up for a more perfect duo almost. Like, it wasn't. So when you see Boston, defending it the way they have, when you see them going under screens for Tyrese Maxey at the top of the key, Boston has some work to do, man. So it'll be interesting to see that chess match early on in this game. And let's get into their lineup now, because they did make that switch more so defensively than offensively, obviously. When you're talking about the big fellas, but it'll be interesting to see. Okay, if I'm the Sixers, if I'm Doc Rivers, you come out and you attack them the same way you did in game 5. However they adjust, however they try to defend your pick and roll, now that chess match begins. Because if they're doing something different, he said, apparently reports came out, shout out to Austin Krell, letting us know that Doc had said that they practiced and they prepared for this adjustment by Boston, this 2 big lineup. So if you guys don't know, it's the same lineup for Boston: Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, except they're plugging in center Robert Williams instead of a guard/small wing in Derek White. Now, why would they do that? Because they're getting killed by the MVP, who has dropped 30 plus on them in the last 3 games. And they're looking for a way to limit or slow down Joel Embiid. They're looking for a way to protect the painted area and defend that pick and roll. Scotty, when you look at this adjustment, because I know where my mind goes when I look at this adjustment, what do you look at from a Sixers point of view of how to attack what they're doing instead of Derek White in place of Robert Williams?
I think the first thing is patience, man. It comes down to patience, and it comes down to IQ when you step on that court and they throw a different look at you. First of all, you're going to run the pick and roll. You're still going to run it. You're going to do it just like you did in game 5. But you're going to get the ball into Joel Embiid's hands and see how they approach him, see how they guard him at first. I'm sure they'll try different things tonight, but as soon as they bring that help, and I saw something interesting. The reason I say this is because I saw, the front by Smart, and then you have Horford helping on the back end, then you have Robert Williams as this roamer. But nonetheless, what it's going to come down to tonight for me is Embiid's passing. If they want to double him, find the open man, right? If PJ's open in the corner, he's going to have to knock down some threes.
Yeah, see,
if he's not knocking them down, you're going to have to get D-Melt in there to knock down some threes, or Daniel House, whoever that guy would be.
George Niang.
It's going to come down to guys knocking down threes. You're going to have to space them out. That's what it's going to come down to with that type of lineup.
Right. And then when you talk about replacing Tucker with Niang for shooting in a corner, now you're giving something up defensively and on the glass, I'm sure. So again, that chess match, Doc Rivers is going to be very key tonight. But when I look at this lineup and defensive adjustment by Joe Mazzulla tonight, my mind immediately goes to the others. And I know that this show is largely based on the back of Joel Embiid and James Harden tonight and the stars. But in this case, in this scenario, You need your 3-point shooters to knock down shots when they're open. Like you said, Embiid's passing out the double team. But I'm also looking at the fact that you are now talking about a defensive lineup with Al Horford and Robert Williams in it. Not a quicker all-second NBA defensive team, Derek White, who, we can argue all day if he should have even been on that team or not, but he was there nonetheless. The others, I need you to attack those mismatches. Yeah, is that lineup bigger? Are they trying to focus on Joel with that lineup? Yeah. You know what else that lineup is now, Scotty? Slower.
Yep.
So Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, DeAnthony Melton, Tobias Harris, you're going to get the switches. They've switched into everything. Al Horford has been switched on to James Harden how many times? Expect the same thing when you screen and switch with Robert Williams tonight. I need them to take advantage of that mismatch. Under control. Yeah. I don't need to see Tyrese Maxey blow by Robert Williams, get into the paint, and lay something soft as baby shit up off the glass and let Robert Williams pin it like we've seen earlier on in this series. But be aggressive, use your speed, use your athleticism to attack those two slower big men, because they're in there for one reason and one reason only, Scotty, to slow down the MVP. Yeah. It's not – the Sixers have to find a way to use it to their advantage for the other guys tonight.
Yeah, I think this is it right here. And it's kind of what you just said, man. It's going to come down to the other guys, the power forwards specifically, the guys that are in PJ's spot in that corner. And they're going to have to hit shots. They're going to have to be very decisive, right? Mm-hmm. If Robert Williams is going to close out quick, if he's going to get out there quick and close out, you blow by him. You go straight to the rag, draw fouls.
Do not allow them to settle. Do not allow them to send help over to that slower matchup. Quick, decisive decision-making.
But I liked your point, man. I think James Harden and Tyrese Maxey are the two guys that can take advantage of this as well.
Boston has switched everything.
Put them in the pick and roll. You put Robert Williams in the pick and roll. You can have PJ come up and set a screen. Make him switch.
Put him in a blender, bro.
Have Embiid come up, set the screen. Make him switch. Doesn't change really much about that unless they drop into a zone-like situation. Right. And that's where the IQ has to show. And this would be my question to you. Mm-hmm. Who would you say has the best IQ out of all of these players on this court that will step on the court tonight?
For the Sixers?
For everybody. Both teams. Who would you say has the highest IQ basketball-wise?
Oh, man.
You can even pick two. You can pick two.
I got it. Listen. I got to go back. I know sometimes he may not show it and we will question the way he can check out of a game and the turnovers, but I got to go back to Uno, right? Yeah. I have to go to James Harden here when it comes to basketball IQ and kind of like he's that coach on the floor where, I think you and I discussed it when Jimmy hurt his ankle against the Knicks, I believe earlier on in the series. Yeah. Defensively, he was literally shouting out and pointing in a defensive set where everybody should be, and they were slowing down New York. Like that's a coach on the floor. Yeah. James is that offensively. James is that orchestrator that can put other guys in spots, pass guys open. Like, you know how we talk about a quarterback like throwing a receiver open? James can do that in transition. James can do that in a half court set. So I just think, when it's clicking for James Harden, when he's full go, that IQ is higher than anybody's on the floor. It's when you get, I don't want to call it lackadaisical or checked out James Harden, but let's be honest, we've seen sloppy passes and sloppy playmaking from James Harden in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would still say he definitely has the highest IQ.
And I would say PJ Tucker, you don't notice it because he doesn't have the ball in his hands a ton. PJ Tucker is right up there as well. KC, Harden both said it. He said smart, hate the guy, but he does have
smart,
a high IQ.
Probably their highest IQ guy, yeah. But that's huge, Devin. That's huge, man. That's going to be what this game's all about, man. Get into the loose balls. I think that is another reason they put Robert Williams in there for rebounding, of course, just so PJ maybe can't crash the boards and get offensive rebounds. Tobias Harris crashing the boards, get offensive rebounds. But nonetheless, I think, simple fix to Robert Williams, if it's bothering you, you get the mismatch, you get the switch, take him to the rack, make him foul you, get him out of the game. It's as simple as that. You can take their adjustment out. You can throw it out the window in the first quarter if you get 2 fouls on it. Like, that's the thing with this. And that's why I asked, like, who has the higher IQ? Who can orchestrate their team towards a victory better tonight by being smart first? And I think that's James Harden. I think he can get everybody into their positions, get everybody set up. And to your point, like you said earlier, he passes guys open. He has his pocket passes to Joel.
Yeah.
He has a connection with Daniel House, who loves to find his spots with Harden. Like, there's a lot of different caveats that the Sixers can throw out here tonight. And you would honestly argue as well that you have the coaching advantage. As crazy as that sounds, this day and age,
100% do.
We have the coaching advantage.
It's not crazy, man. It's not crazy. There's a lot of people out there that still hate Doc Rivers. And listen, I'm not a Doc Rivers defender. I'm not a Doc Rivers stan, man. Doc Rivers has been really good this year. Yeah. He just has. And I know people love to blame him for the losses, but none of the credit. He only gets credit for the losses, right, Scott? Right. He doesn't get anything for the wins. And look at the situation there. He has coached circles around Joe Mazzulla, man. Even in the first round against Jacques Vaughn, when they tried to throw everything at Joel Embiid and throw 3-4 bodies at him in a possession. Like, that's your focal point of your offense if you're Doc Rivers, and it's basically not being taken away, but I mean, they are doing everything they can to limit that, and you have to find a way around it, and they did just that in a sweep. Like, there was not a moment in that series where it was like, oh man, Doc doesn't know what to do. Doc's overwhelmed. You want to bitch and moan and complain about, like, I don't love James Harden and 4 bench players at once against the Celtics in a playoff game. I don't love it, but in a 2.5 minute spurt, I think he can provide some things defensively and athletic-wise. Now, when he starts to leave it in for 4 minutes or so, and you start to see it get crushed on the offensive side of things, I think that's when it's tough. But Doc Rivers has been great. I want to throw this back to you. The Celtics lineup change. We looked at it strictly, basically, from a Sixers offensive standpoint. Defensively, you can kind of key in on the 2 stars now. Like, now that Derek White, and it's not, I'm not trying to act like taking Derek White off the floor is this big mystery, and he was such a weapon offensively, but spacing wise, like you said, shooting wise, you're replacing he's not shooting the ball well right now, but he's obviously a much better 3-point shooter, as a guard than Robert Williams, right? Yeah. So you can kind of hone in on those 2. Now, do you have any worries about Philly defending the lob? Do you have any worries about the glass, offensive rebounds?
No, man, honestly, because I mean, offensive rebounds, yes. That would be dumb to say that I'm not worried about that. I'll take that back. But when it comes to lobs, stuff like that, Embiid's going to be able to go on Robert Williams. He can stay down baseline to baseline with him and be the anchor of the defense. Horford's going to be up, rotating around the 3-point line. My question to you, do we throw Harden on Al Horford? Do we just put him over in that corner?
That's an interesting point, right? Or you could argue, I mean, if they adjusted to it and moved Horford lower on the block because of the size, you could argue you could throw any of the guards on Al Horford. Like, if he's going to just stand in the corner. That's the thing, though. Some people's minds went immediately to, well, Joel's going to be still pulled out, and now you're going to have a smaller body like PJ on Robert Williams. No. Having Robert Williams starting allows Joel to hang around that painted area and protect the rim more than it does with him on Al. Now, you could go PJ on Al, as you mentioned, or you could throw Harden or Maxey onto Al Horford in the corner.
No doubt, though. I just saw the comment down there. Joel, 40-plus points at plus 500. I like that. But no, man, I think it is actually the opposite. Yeah, you allow Joel Embiid. What's up, Beard of Knowledge? You still got the DSM account? Bro, we appreciate you, though, brother.
Bro, I thought you did it.
No, not me. That was funny, though. I was like, who the hell?
No, I did see Phil's plays on Twitter earlier, and he had that up there. So listen, man, I'm going to get into Joel in just a minute when we get to X Factors, but no, you're
no worries, Phil. You're always welcome in the
lock
DSM
it in,
man. No. I think it is the opposite, like you said. I think Joel Embiid, if anything, guarding Robert Williams, he can just stand put as the anchor in the paint. So
I
think that works to their advantage. It would be interesting if they bring Al Horford down to the post, and then where does Robert Williams go? I'll be interested to see how long Robert Williams is in the game, quite honestly. How long before they switch?
This could be a 3-minute start to the game type of lineup. I don't know, man.
I almost feel like it would be better to go small ball, or even take Horford out of the lineup, put Grant Williams in the corner or something, and put Robert
Yeah.
Williams at center. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't.
You could
I don't
see that
know. We'll
lineup
see.
tonight. You realistically could see it, but I do agree. I think it makes them slower. I think it makes them less athletic. Now, I'm not trying to act like Robert Williams is an athletic rim runner, but I'm talking about defensively. If he switched on to a guard or James Harden or Tyrese Maxey at the top of the key, like the Sixers have been able to exploit Al Horford all series long. Good luck. Like that's all I can say to Robert Williams and Al Horford tonight. So it's going to be an interesting chess match, man. We just have about an hour away from tip-off, right? I'm sure it'll start just after 7:30. So before we get into predictions, guys, if you are new to the channel, don't forget this could be your last opportunity to enter our jersey raffle. So subscribe to the DSM YouTube channel. And drop your score prediction in the comments with us right now for tonight's game. And we will be raffling off the winner after this round 2 series wraps up versus Boston. If you are selected, you get to pick the Fanatics jersey of your choice, as you can see right there. And also don't forget that DSM Media is probably brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. Use our promo code DSM for 20% off and free shipping. Again, that's promo code DSM at checkout for 20% off your total order and free shipping. Scotty, let's get into our standout starts. I've already tweeted kind of hinting at where I'm leaning in this one. But I'm interested to see where you go, man. When you look at X Factor for tonight and everything's on the table, I know sometimes we like to stay away from, the stars, and we like to go with the role players because it's like, who can be that elevated push that the Sixers need outside of the given? Where are you looking tonight if the Sixers are able to come away and wrap the series up in 6? Who is your standout star?
As a wise man once said on Twitter, uno mas. And that's what the Sixers need. They need one more. One more. I'm going with James Harden tonight, man. I agree. Ultimately, I think the stars are going to be majorly important. I think everybody's going to be important tonight, nonetheless. But James Harden is the orchestrator. I brought him up earlier as the guy within this series that has the highest basketball IQ. It's true. He's the smartest basketball player on the court, and he's ultra talented, right? You got to use that to full advantage tonight. I'm expecting a big game from James Harden. Doesn't mean 40-plus points. Doesn't even mean 30-plus points. Mm-hmm. He's going to be out there keeping this team organized, controlling the turnover battle, helping on the boards, getting guys in spots where they're supposed to be, getting guys the ball in spots where they're supposed to get it. He's going to be monumental in getting Joel Embiid going tonight, no matter what the Celtics throw at them. And the biggest thing for me, man, the reason that I really think we could get a maximum effort type of game from James Harden, like a max level game from James Harden, is because of the way they went about Game 5. They took some stress off of his mind, bringing the ball up, being full court pressured by Jaylen Brown for an entire game is not very stress-free. They took that off the plate in Game 5. They let Maxey bring the ball up. That takes a ton off of James Harden's mind, and it takes a ton off of James Harden's legs. Maxey was the guy to go for 30-plus. Maxey was the guy to take that 90
is never easy.
That's what Maxey is for, right? He's the youth. He's the guy.
He's the fountain of youth, bro.
He can still play really well tonight. I think he can still be that guy, but I think James Harden, we see him a little bit more aggressive tonight. Definitely more than 8 shots in this game, and a little bit more involvement on the offensive end. I think he orchestrates. I think he has another masterclass in this series to cap it off. And I'm going with Uno Mas. Yeah. One more.
And listen, as Mrs. Scotty says right here, have there been woes along the ride? Have there been struggles along James Harden's playoff career? Absolutely. And that's what a lot of people like to point to when they talk about playoff Harden. But he's been in a lot of these situations. He's been in a lot of closeout moments. He's been in a lot of Game 6s, Game 7s, trying to appear in a conference finals. So he definitely knows what it takes. He definitely knows what's at store, what's in store for this team tonight. Game 5, see the smile. Game 5 was all about the others, right? And they delivered in a big, big way. Joel was great. James was great, almost a triple-double, but the others, Tyrese Maxey with 30. Tobias Harris with a 16 and 11 double-double, even though in foul trouble. Right? Daniel House comes off 5 of 7 shooting, double-digit points. tonight is all about the MVP. And I don't mean this as in Joel Embiid needs to put his stamp on his career. I don't mean this as we need to see something different from Joel Embiid to kind of prove his legacy correct here in the city. I mean this is as in everything is going to run through the big fella tonight. And I truly believe that brace came off in game 5. And he played the best game of the series. But what did we come away by saying? He was great. He's the best player on the floor. But there was room for improvement.
Yeah.
He was what? 10 for 23 from the floor, whatever. There was room for improvement offensively from Joel Embiid. I think you get a dominant performance from the league MVP tonight on his home floor. I loved his and James and PJ's and the entire team's takeaway after going up 3-2 and that the job's not done. And I love what Joel had to come out and say. I don't care. You know, I really don't care about this moment. I don't care about the second round woes right now. We still have one more to get. Uno mas, right, Scotty?
Yeah.
I think he puts his stamp and his imprint all over this game. And I think he lets us know that the big fella is going to take you home tonight. And when things go and get tough, I don't care if I'm double teamed. I don't care what's coming. I think Joel Embiid puts on a show tonight.
Yeah.
That prop that Phil put in right here. Yeah. Sign me up tonight because I think Joel Embiid goes for 40 plus. KC 5+ blocks. Listen, 5. It's possible. You know,
it's 5 in game 5 or game 4. 4 in game 5.
Improbable doesn't mean impossible. I'm not going to say 5, but I think 40 plus points. I think 12 plus boards. I think 3-4 plus assists, and I think 3+ blocks tonight from the big fella.
Controlling the paint.
I think it's an absolute dominant performance from Joel Embiid, as Abe said up there, right? Joel dominant, Harden efficient, Maxey aggressive. I think you get those 3 ingredients tonight, and you get them in a Philadelphia 76ers win. And for the first time since 2001, the Philadelphia 76ers will be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Scotty, what say you?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And I'm not against the Embiid 40 plus, even with who I picked as my player of the game, because I think that could mean that James Harden is indeed having a big night. This could be one of those nights where James Harden has his 20 assists caliber games, right? Just pocket passes, feeding the big fellow and then mid-range elbow jumpers, man. And you give it to him all day, all night. And twice on Thursdays. That's what day it is. I think Embiid has a night like that. That's because Harden is doing his thing out there tonight. But as far as the way this game is about to go, Dylan, I'm with you. It's time. There's a reason we feel this nervous going into the game, and it's like we said earlier. It's not because we don't think the Sixers can beat the Celtics. They beat the Celtics 3 times.
It's this far away.
They beat the Celtics 3 times in this series, right? 2 times in Boston. They can beat the Celtics. You could argue that they're better than the Celtics at this point. Like, literally, from what we've seen on the court, you could argue.
It's a crazy thought.
I know. It's not about confidence. It's not about confidence. It's about this moment and what's about to happen here in the city of Philadelphia. This is the best era of basketball in 40 years. 40 years! It's the best era of basketball in Philadelphia in 40 years. And it starts tonight. We talked about the pinnacle of the process. That is tonight. And the new era of the best era of Sixers basketball also begins tonight. While that pinnacle may be coming to a point, we have another one to reach. And I'm going with the Sixers tonight, man. I see all the scores in the comments. I love the energy. I do think it'll be a little closer than some of them. But I'm going with a 111-99 victory. Still double digits. Still comfortable. And big party in Philadelphia tonight. I will say, don't take it to Broad Street. It's just the second round, guys. Don't.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
Do what you want, actually. I'm not going to sit here and police fans.
No, it'll be interesting because you and I had a conversation the other morning about the fact that, like, it's a football town first and foremost, and if it's not that, it's a baseball town, as you saw in the postseason. By the way, Luis, what's going on, man? This is awesome. This is awesome.
Awesome, Luis.
Uno.
Checking in, man.
Uno tonight.
Uno mas. One more.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Scotty, the last thing I will say to you about this comment is this. This is not the same Celtics team as they were last year. It's not the same head coach. They have fundamental problems. They have defensive flaws and much more. And this is also not the same Philadelphia 76ers team that has gotten bullied and run over. Joel Embiid once said a couple years ago, after getting knocked out of the playoffs by the Boston Celtics for the umpteenth time, that this ain't no goddamn rivalry because they kick our ass every time that we play. And that story, that narrative comes to a screeching stop tonight, Scotty. Guys, that is going to wrap up this edition of DSM Pregame Live. Hopefully, the last one of this round 2 matchup versus the Boston Celtics, which means it would be the last chance for you to be entered for a chance to win a Sixers jersey of your choice from Fanatics. Subscribe to the channel and drop your score prediction below right here, right now for tonight's game. We're raffling off the winner after this series ends. As always, don't forget that DSM Media is proudly brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. Use promo code DSM at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Again, that's promo code DSM at checkout for 20% off your total order and free shipping. Your balls will certainly thank you. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM Media, have a great rest of your night. And go Sixers.
Go Sixers.